Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we're doing a review of the collaborative project between Karen O of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Danger Mouse, also known as Brian Burton. This project is called Lux Prima. For some context of this album, it is this creative collision course of two artists who are pretty eclectic in their music style. Danger Mouse has notably produced some records for the Black Keys. He's worked with many artists, also the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He kind of put them back on track in 2016 with The Getaway. At least in my opinion. Karen O is the lead singer of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. She has a very versatile vocal delivery. Now with this album, though, specifically, Danger Mouse talked about it more in terms of envisioning a place over a sound. Now this place that Danger Mouse was intending for it to sound like is something like Paris 1969, but what that means is more of like this Motown influence, a bit more of orchestral arrangements and some 90s trip hop. So with that being said, it's got some interesting context for what the listener should be looking for with it. However, with my first few listens and even to a point of where I felt comfortable with reviewing this album, I'm kind of disappointed with the conventional song structure we get on this project. The choruses, in my opinion, are pretty weak, and it's a pretty big letdown given that Danger Mouse has worked with the Black Keys and has put out a record as high quality as El Camino is. I mean, that album is just full of hooking melodies. It's just as addictive as crack. Not that I've done crack. No, in no way saying do crack. Kids at home, don't listen to me. Okay, so even if the choruses aren't the big focus on the table on Lux Prima, there's still something to reel in the listeners on this project, and I think that's due to the awe-inspiring and lush synthesizer work. This album kicks off with that idea in mind with the synth harmonies on the opening track. They're very encapsulating, and then we go into this song called Ministry. The synthesizers in the chorus of this one heavily remind me of something from like the X and Y era of Coldplay, something like Fix You or Square One. Shifting focus to the vocal performance on this project, it's very versatile, as I was alluding to earlier with Karen O. I would say Woman is the highlight on this project as far as vocal performances go. Very calm and soothing in the verses, and then we get more of these yelpy, shouty style vocals in the chorus. It's almost like someone's in distress, but it matches the wave of the snare hits that chugs the track along. Redeemer is one of my favorites on here. It's got more of this rock-leaning inspiration to it. We get a louder backbeat from the percussion, very twangy guitar tones, and we also get some self-call and response with the vocal refrain of Come For Me, Come For You. Drown is a song on here that is very wet in the way that the vocal performance is very watery. It's pretty manic too. We get some swells of horns that give it this avant-garde art rock kind of feel. Reveries is another song on here that fools around with the vocal modulations. We get more of a telephonic reverb. We also get some minimal texture to the lo-fi guitar. Then around the 2.5 minute mark, we get this fuzzy kind of synth that pops in the mix, along with these heavenly delectable strings that flood in there too. It really just gives it that interesting juxtaposition between the low quality audio and more of the polished sounds. This album wraps up with the song called Nox Lumina. Kind of ends the album on a bit of a whimper here. It kind of meanders into the abyss. It experiments with some serene sound play between the keys and the guitars. We also get support from the synthesizers that kind of feel like a weird meshing of some jazz influence or something along the lines of like a Tyler, the Creator kind of song like Find Your Wings. However, for a track that's about 6 minutes long on here, you would expect it to have a bit more of a resolved conclusion, but instead it's a bit more abrupt than I would really ask for. It's just like someone went into the studio and pulled the plug, and it's like that's all they had time to record. It really just leaves the listener in this weird state where it's like, was that the end? Like, it just came out of nowhere, really. Overall, this project kind of left me in a confused mind state. There are a few songs on the front half that I think are worthwhile coming back to, but the last half of this album kind of lost me in the way that it's just meandering in these different kind of musical passages that aren't too interesting. And even with more of the rock-centric kind of tracks on here, I'm not overly impressed. I think this album is just perfect for someone who's looking for more of a beautiful or like spacious arrangement. Don't really expect to be wowed with the choruses on here. If you're looking for a pop album, this is definitely not one of those. I would say the catchiest song on here, if you're looking for something that's a bit catchier, would be Turn the Light. Elsewhere, I would say the guitar work is something you'd expect from like a Broken Bells kind of record. The vocals are commanding. I gotta give it to Karen O. She does her absolute best on here. Just a few cuts on here feel like she's a little bored, namely on Ministry. Altogether though, I'd say this project is a relaxing, hazy, kind of spacious album, and I'm feeling a 6 out of 10. Yeah, definitely not the best, not the worst either. A handful of my favorite tracks on here would be Turn the Light, Woman, and Redeemer. But yeah, sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this record. Leave a like. Tell me what I should review next. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a rockin' day.